Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for this episode. I am really excited to introduce my next guest to you. Her name is Elizabeth O'Brien. She runs the Etsy shop BowsAndSilosLLC and has been since about August, September of 2020. She's a firefighter and Marine Corps wife. Thank you to your husband, Elizabeth, for all his service to us. And she's a full-time mom. She's gone from professional ballroom dancer, which I am so envious of because I wanted to do pretty dances, but my limbs just did not allow me to. And she was an instructor at Arthur Murray, which, if you're outside the US, it's a dance school, a very popular dance school here in the US. And she went from that to being a high-level executive, or she had a high level position, I should say, in retail for a large tech company. And now she is the owner and creator of what is one of the top 1% Etsy shops. Again, it's Bows and Silos LLC. And Elizabeth, thank you so much for being my guest and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. Now, I know that your journey has, I think I might have made it sound like it was one mountaintop transition to another, but I know it really wasn't. So before we get into all that, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and how you ended up on Etsy?
Of course. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. And second, it hasn't been all wonderful as it seems. The introduction sounded wonderful, though. Thank you. I'm flattered. But it's not been, it's not been puppies and sunshine and rainbows all the time, I was a professional ballroom instructor. I've danced my whole life. It's probably my number one passion besides crafting. And at some point in time, I graduated from college and I decided to pursue that career path. And at the end of the day, it didn't pan out money-wise, unfortunately. I had to pay back my student loans and wanted to be able to get out of my parents' house and those sorts of things. So I graduated from that part of my life into this corporate retail job. And so I started at the bottom of the totem pole and worked my way up and became the manager of a store. And then I went into the business side, and that was really my dream position. I really wanted to get into this business type position. And I wanted to get to this business position. I ended up covering the entire state of Indiana for this position that I was in. And it was everything that I dreamed of, literally. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was very rewarded for the hard work that I put in. Like, I felt like it was earned in a way. I put in 5.5 years of work and felt like I was, being rewarded for doing that. And then my husband and we got married. And we had a baby very, very quickly. We actually found out we were pregnant right after our wedding. So 9 months later, our child was born. His name's Liam. He's such a sweetheart. He's 2 years old now, so that gives you a timeline. This is about 2 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, I had my wonderful little boy, and sorry if I get emotional at this part, but I really hit a wall. So sorry. Wow. I wasn't expecting to get emotional.
It's okay. And I'm quiet because I'm smiling, but I'm listening. Take your time.
Oh no, it's hard. I went down a really, really dark path of feeling like, I wanted to go back to work because I really liked working. But then I felt guilty because I was supposed to be home with my son, Sorry. Yeah. And, at the end of the day, I went back to work. I was very unhappy. I was supposed to be going back to the position that I left in. And unfortunately, the company, they had to put me in a different position. So that was very unfortunate. I understand where they're coming from a corporate standpoint, but, when you get a call from your friend who works in the company and says they just interviewed for your job, it's a little depressing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and aren't there laws against that?
yeah, they had legally had to give me a position that was of equal management level status, but it didn't have to be the same territory. So legally they were doing what they needed to on their end, but it just felt like everything had been taken away from me. Like I worked very, very hard, and I deserve this time with my son. And, the company allows you so long to be at home with them, which was wonderful. And I'm very appreciative for how much time I got with my son. A lot of people don't even get that. Mm-hmm. But because I was gone for so long and took that time that was given to me, it was almost like a backhanded slap in the face,
right? Yeah.
So I went back. I was back for a few weeks, and then my husband noticed that I was extremely depressed and very anxious and kind of angry about things. And he mentioned it to my doctor, my OBGYN, and she nipped it right in the butt. And she was like, she's like, these are very clear signs of postpartum depression and anxiety, and I really want you to get seen about this. And I was like, I'm not depressed. No, like, there's no way, no, not at all. And
yeah.
So I went and I got some help with the help of my mother and my husband and my doctor. And it was the best thing that I ever did. And I will preach to anyone that knows anybody else that is going through postpartum depression and anxiety silently, that if they want to get help, please, please, please do, because it was so enlightening to me.
Yeah.
It's the reason that I ended up starting my Etsy. And I know that's such a long answer for your question
no,
and a lot to unpack, but that's why I started my Etsy, is because I went to therapy, and in therapy, they told me, they're like, you need to find a coping skill. What are you passionate about? And I was like, I love crafting. I miss crafting. I haven't had time to do that, And she was like, find time. Like, you're at home with your son right now. You're on workman's comp. We'll figure that out. Like, what do you enjoy doing? And I was like, I really want to paint things. I want to make things. Like, let me do all the things. And so I started playing around and just getting back into my groove of what I had done before jobs, back when I had free time, Yeah. if that's even a thing anymore. Back when I had free time, it was so fun doing those things for fun. And people were liking it, and they were like, wow, you make really pretty things. You should sell these things. I'm like, no, there's no way I'm not going to do that. And so the last day of therapy, when you graduate from the program, they sit down and they tell you all these things that, are important about you and the growth that you've gone through. And she said that the therapist was last, and she said, I never give advice, but I'm going to tell you right now, you should strongly consider getting an Etsy shop and selling your items, because you showed me them. You're so passionate about it, and they look amazing. I would buy from you.
She said an Etsy shop?
She said that. Yeah,
Whoa.
She said, get an Etsy shop. And I was like, okay. And so I went back to work the next week at my corporate job, and within a month, I quit my job. And unfortunately, I can't say I started my Etsy shop right away, because it was the first week of March of 2020. So COVID happened.
Yeah.
My husband is a firefighter, and we had to deal with a lot of things with that. So instead of starting an Etsy shop right away, I was sewing masks with my mom for the fire department locally, and doing a lot of things to just try to make it through life for a few months. Mm-hmm. And then throughout the summer, I tried to get a game plan, and basically between March and August is when I kind of got my game plan of what I was going to make, and kind of finally got the courage in August. The last week of August, I opened my Etsy shop. So,
whoa, Elizabeth.
That was so much. I know. I'm sorry.
No, but it's all good stuff. And I'm really thankful that you shared that, because I know that there's somebody listening who is having the same struggle. I know that the people who listen, they're both men and women, and there might be a woman out there who is struggling with something similar, and maybe same thing with postpartum depression. It's so common, and sometimes we don't want to admit that we're not coping well. And it could be, for a guy listening, a woman in your life who you see is not coping well with, a new life change. Like a brand new baby is a huge new life change. And to hear how you struggled, but still sought out help and got the help that you needed, and you're here today having gone through all that, I think is such an encouragement for anyone who is struggling with something similar. So thank you for just openly and honestly sharing your story. I think that's so helpful. I think the more that we hear people be honest about struggles that they've gone through, and especially when it has to do with mental health, I'm particularly sensitive to that, because I know that even now, we're in 2021, and there's even now still a stigma around, people not thinking that mental health is just health. It's another facet of health, even if it's not something you can physically see, it can affect you physically, especially when you don't take care of yourself mentally. It can affect you just as much as it does physically. And I'm so sorry to go off on a tangent, but my background was in pharmacy. And so, from the jump, when I used to practice and first started, helping people with their medications, I would do consultations and talk to people about medications, and mental health issues were one thing that people just were so, what's the word? So, some people were shut off to it, and some people just felt ostracized because they needed help in a way that most people didn't recognize as something you would need help with. So I'm proud of you that you took care of yourself, that you did what you had to do, and look at you here today. I mean, you've come such a long way, and I'm so glad that you did. So thank you for sharing that. And tears are always welcome here.
Thank you. I'm not sure if you've had a lot of people cry on your podcast, but now you have, so thank you. But
yeah.
Really, I hope that someone out there is listening to this and thinking to themselves, if she can do it, I can do it, maybe.
For sure.
And if you're a husband and you notice your wife is going through this, or if you're a woman and you just had a baby and you're like, I want to stay at home with my son and enjoy this time with him. I'm never going to get this time back. That was my main thought, was like, I hated leaving every day and, leaving at 6 a.m. and getting home at 9 p.m. and not getting to see him.
Yeah.
I didn't want that for my life, for my family, and the ability to make enough money now to stay at home with him and see him grow every day. And I mean, I'm so lucky. And I hope that someone is willing to take the leap of faith. It is not that difficult. I promise. Starting an Etsy is not hard. Listen to our other podcast episodes. If you just do it, like, that's my thing. Just do it. Like, put your feet in the water and just go, you know?
Just start. So was the first time you ever heard about Etsy when your psychologist or not psychologist, but your therapist, when your therapist first mentioned it, was that the first you had heard of Etsy?
No, I mean, I've always bought from Etsy. I'm like an avid Etsy buyer, but I really never thought of selling on Etsy.
Okay.
I had made things for friends and family before, and they were like, you should sell these, but no one was ever like, you should have an Etsy shop until then,
Yeah.
So that was like the first time I thought about really like creating an Etsy shop per se.
Okay. So fast forward to August of 2020.
Yes.
You opened the shop. What were you selling then and what were you selling now, or is it the same thing? Because you started off with painting and
Yes.
Okay.
So my shop hasn't really changed as far as the whole content. So my idea was tiered tray decor. So I wanted to offer things for different holidays and different seasons year round. So, whether it's Christmas or fall or Easter or St. Patrick's Day or whatever have you, Valentine's Day, there's so many different decorative holidays throughout the year that people, like to look at their kitchen table and be like, oh, look, that's nice. That's cute. Like it's just something to like bring a little joy to your life,
Yeah.
So my idea was originally just creating different things for different holidays. And I was painting like rolling pins and signs and things like that would go on a tiered tray. And what happened was I was wanting to take a photo for my Etsy shop. I was taking a photo and I was trying to stage some like mugs. I really like Ray Dunn mugs as well. I'm a very big Ray Dunn fan and collector myself. If you don't know what Ray Dunn is, it's a type of, it's an artist as well. She has a pottery line and they are very, very popular and like the farmhouse type style decor.
Okay.
But I really, really like her mugs. And I was looking on Pinterest and I saw this one mug and it had like this whipped cream on top. And I was like, is that real? And so, I went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out what it was. And there was no tutorials. There was nothing showing what it was. I was like, I'm going to make that and I'm going to make it out of something. I don't know what, but so I figured out like how people make like fake cupcakes. And I was like, okay, people make fake cupcakes by using lightweight spackle. I'm going to put lightweight spackle on this foam circle and add a ball and give it something like a base. And so I made bases and I basically figured out how to do it from scratch because no one was showing anybody how to do it at all. And I posted a TikTok about it. I was very new to TikTok at the time. I posted like a how-to tutorial, how to make a mug topper, because I figured no one else knows how to do this. I've searched TikTok and there's nothing about mug toppers on TikTok. So I might as well put it out there and see if there's any interest in this. The video got a lot of attraction and people are like, what's a mug topper? What is this for? That's so cute. I want one. And so I was like, well, my original idea was to list this, this, and this, but I guess I should list this mug topper because people want it. So now my business has pivoted very quickly out of the gate to being majority mug toppers for different mugs. And all the other things that I was planning on doing as my main source of business, like the rolling pins and the signs and things like that, have kind of been a secondary thing. They're like add-ons, if you will.
Right.
So people come to my shop a lot of times for mug toppers, and then they end with buying 3 or 4 different items that all kind of go together because I have like a s'mores collection and a lemon collection and a honeybee collection, Christmas collection, a fall collection, Halloween collection. So everything kind of goes together. So there is options of like buying a whole bundle where you get, a few mug toppers with a rolling pin, with a sign, with everything you see on the tiered tray, basically, except the mugs and the tiered tray itself. The buyer supplies those themselves, but my idea is like a one-stop shop, like you can come to me and know that like my mug topper colors are going to match everything that you get with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, it does. So you had certain products listed in your Etsy shop, but you did the video on the mug toppers, which were not in your Etsy shop. How did you actually start selling them?
Like immediately after I did it, I posted the Etsy listing because I was like, people like this. I didn't even think I was going to sell these, and people wanted them. So immediately I took a photo and I just I think it had like 2 photos in the listing. It wasn't was not a good listing by any Etsy means, but I was just like, put it up there, and then it just went like crazy after that. And then people were asking, are you going to do Christmas ones? My mom is obsessed with, mugs at Christmas. Can you do a frosty one? Can you do blah, blah, blah? And I was like, well, sure. So yeah, it has spiraled since then now.
That is wild. Okay. So is the function of the mug topper primarily aesthetic, or is it to keep drinks warmer or just keep them cold, keep stuff out of the drinks?
Yeah, no, I get that question all the time. So I'm so glad you asked that. It is not to keep the drink warm, although I'm sure there might be a way to do that. But the material that I use is lightweight spackle. If you get spackle wet, that's not good. So don't do that. It's meant to be used as just purely decor. So I always tell people that it's to put on a mug when you're not using it. When it's sitting on your counter or it's on your coffee bar and it's just sitting there, put your mug topper on it. It also helps keep the dust out of it. I don't know if you've ever like had a mug sitting on your coffee bar for a while and then you look inside and it's just full of dust.
Yes, I know.
I hate that. I'm like, oh, now I need to rinse this out before I can drink out of this. But so it really does help with that a whole lot. Trust me. So that's something that is very helpful.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then
like a dust cover in a way.
Yeah. So then are you able to, so then you can pretty much make a themed one out of anything. Someone can say if they have a wedding theme and they're giving mugs away, you can do something that matches whatever theme it is they tell you.
Absolutely. I just launched a football tiered tray theme mug topper and I would not have thought of doing I'm not a huge football fan myself. I know people like football, but someone reached out to me and said, can you do a football one? And I was like, sure. And so many people wanted this football one because apparently, I get it. Like people come over to your house and they watch the football game. So it's cute to have a little football decoration up. So I was like, okay, I get it. That's cute. Like I wouldn't have thought to do that though. So my customers a lot of times will give me ideas, which is really interesting to me.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. And I think that's always just from talking to other sellers, you know, that's how people find some of their best sellers is from suggestions from customers who, you know, throw something out there. Do you also take custom orders? Like if somebody wants something very specific. Okay.
Yeah. So as long as it's not infringing on any copyright, like I very much so like make sure I don't want to get on the Disney train or anything like that because I don't want to get in trouble. So as long as it's very generic sounding, if that makes sense, then I will definitely do a custom order. If people want custom colors, like you said, for a wedding, I did a s'mores themed one that started as a custom order, and now my s'mores bundle and all of my s'mores items are one of my best sellers.
I saw that. Yeah. What's your typical turnaround time for the custom orders?
Yeah, so my processing time is 2 to 3 weeks. Then obviously you add shipping on top of that. So currently my queue is about 175 orders as we speak right now.
What?
Yes, I have a very large queue. So I make everything made to order. So I'm not stuck with inventory that I don't necessarily need. So when you're placing an order, I make that specifically for you, which is neat. So if somebody says, I like this, but can you do this color? Awesome. I can create a custom order for you. We can do this, this, and this, and add this color in. If, you know, that's the sports team you like, I can add blue, you know, whatever have you.
Right.
So so I work in advance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So that was my next question was, how do you know, or do you keep any inventory on hand? So that's like, so what you do keep on hand are your raw materials.
Oh yes. I have a lot of spackle. I am a frequent flyer of the Lowe's home improvement store. I should be a spokesperson for spackle and straws and clay sprinkles and clay. I make all of the long sprinkles that are on, I call them jimmies. I don't know if that's a term everyone uses, but the longer skinny sprinkles that are on the toppers, I make all of those. And then those are made out of clay. I have a how-to tutorial on that as well on my TikTok. And then all of like the specialty sprinkles, I actually support several other Etsy shops, try to do as many as I can. There's 3 or 4 that I typically go to for a lot of my specialty clay sprinkles though. And I'm looking at them now. I have like totes full of sprinkles and paper straws and foam balls.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. So do you get stressed out just thinking that you have, you know, over 100 orders in your queue?
Not anymore. So when I
Mhm.
first launched, it was very overwhelming. I had one video go viral on TikTok and it had 1.7 million views.
Oh my goodness.
And I had within one day, I had 500 orders and I
Oh,
freaked out.
oh my goodness.
When I say it was all hands on deck, my mother, the saint that she is, was over at my house. My best friend, Andrea, she lives about an hour away. She was helping me with orders. My husband was helping me with orders.
Yeah.
I don't give him enough credit, but between my mom and my husband, they are amazing. My husband helps package orders every single day with me. He
Oh.
literally makes all the boxes that they go in. He knows the system. Like, he's very, very efficient too. He's a quick packer. So yeah, that was really the only time I would say I was really stressed though. It was 500 orders in a day was a lot. And Etsy actually like shut my shop down. I had no idea that they could do that.
Yeah, actually, yes, I was going to ask that. Okay.
Yeah, it was within 90 days of me opening my shop, and I had a lot of success very quickly because of my TikTok. And yeah, I got this email and it was basically like, just to make sure that you can fulfill all of these orders within the processing time, we're going to temporarily pause your account. Now, people could still order if they had a direct link to the account, but they could not search me. There was no way for them to find me
Your
any other
listings.
way other than the direct link. So
yes. Can we just pause and talk about that? Because I think I've mentioned that on the podcast before, that this is something Etsy does. It starts off as throttling, where if they start to notice that you have many orders, they start to not suppress, well, I guess in a way, suppress your listings from showing up in search, because they're trying to give you time to process those. So they're tracking like, okay, this many orders, how many per day is she marking as shipped, and trying to calculate what's in your queue. And until they think you've gotten down to a level that you can handle again, you lose your search ranking, or they just make you not show up too high up in search, so you don't get more orders, so that you don't get too backed up, so that your customers don't end up having a bad experience, so that then they don't end up coming back on Etsy. And then eventually, if they think, okay, we think she cannot handle this or he cannot handle this, then they will actually officially pause your store. It's different from a suspension. It's not a suspension, but pausing your store, and with that they even communicate with you. The suspension is a whole different thing. And but yes, so that's telling a lot, just the fact that they had to pause your shop.
I haven't had it happen since, and I've had a queue up to 500 again. But I think they've seen my record now, my track record. Like, I've never gone past 3 weeks. Like, no order has ever shipped past 3 weeks.
Yes.
Ever. So I am very, very clear and concise in my communication with my customers, from my customer service background with, B2B and all of that. I feel like it's just best to be transparent and be like, if you want to order from me, this is how long it's going to take. I promise it's worth it. Like, make sure you get it in before your event.
Yes. And what you said happened reminds me of Quajo, who was on the pod. He's been on twice now. And
I listened to his episode. Yeah, about his he sold furniture, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes. And he had to recruit his whole family too to come and help him. And his was because he was featured in Etsy, which actually you also were you not?
I was featured in a blog post. It wasn't from Etsy. It was an Etsy wish list of fall 2020. Okay. But it wasn't through Etsy. So I have never been featured in one of their emails, if that's what you're saying.
Okay.
But it was like a private blogger who had an Etsy fall 2020 wish list, and one of my mug toppers was in it.
Oh, got it. But did that also help drive traffic for you?
Yeah, so that actually came out before my TikTok success. So I think I got a pretty big boost in sales before TikTok happened, which I think that might not be normal for everyone. If I had just opened my Etsy shop and didn't have the blog post and didn't have TikTok, I don't think I would be where I am today at all. But I definitely think it kind of got me on the radar a little bit. Like, I think it, might have gotten me 20 to 30 sales, which is great.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
But, I don't think I would have been as successful right out the gate without the blog post for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, since we're on the topic of TikTok, why did you pick TikTok?
So I have a Facebook. I'm not as active on Facebook. I feel like, I don't know. Honestly, I have an Instagram as well. I'm more active on Instagram for sure, but TikTok was just
than
so
Facebook. You mean? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more active on Instagram than in Facebook. Yes.
Okay.
But TikTok was just so new, and I was watching other Etsy sellers on there. I kind of got down this like Etsy small business, like crafting TikTok, and it was amazing. And I was watching all these other people going from, 0 sales to 1 sale, even to 2 sales to 20 sales. And I was like, wow, I could do that. Yeah. And like, kind of like tracking your success, if you will. So it was really neat watching other people grow. And I was just like, I was like, you got to start somewhere. So I started on there, and I'm really self-conscious about my appearance now. I'm overweight and I have had a baby, and I'm working on all of that now and loving myself for who I am. But I don't like to put my face in a lot of things. And that's something that I think is difficult for me, because like, obviously TikTok, it's like you're taking videos all the time. So a lot of times I'm like showing my product, or like working on decorations, or making something, or showing people how to do something. And it's like my hands.
Yeah.
So I'm building up my confidence, and it really is it's making me become more confident in a way, because I have people that have been following me for a long time. And I did one not too long ago, and I showed my face in the beginning. And I had my valid, like hardcore diehard fans on there, and they were like, you go girl, you're beautiful. Aww. And like, I was just like, oh my God, it felt so good. Like, like, I don't know. It was really cool. Like, I feel like I have my little Bows and Silos TikTok family. Like they root for me, and I'll do like a live on there, and my people are on there, and they're asking questions like, what orders are you working on? And I'm always working on orders when I go live. And so it's really interesting, just people talking to me. And I've made a lot of friends through there that have other Etsy shops. So there's several other Etsy shops that, I mean, without TikTok, I wouldn't be friends with them. And they've given me tips and tricks. Like, one thing I didn't know that like was a thing was, when you click on your sales, like people can see everything that you've sold. And so they told me
right. You mean in your Etsy shop?
What were you talking about?
You mean in your Etsy shop?
Yeah, in my Etsy. Yes. They were giving me like Etsy shop tips and tricks since I was so new. And so they were like, hey, this is some advice I was given. And so they kind of just give me their advice, and, being careful about, Disney and things like that too. Like making sure that I'm being mindful, so that they're like, I want to see you continue to be successful. Like, don't screw up, So it's been really cool. I feel like I have a little family on there, and a lot of them, like I said, are other Etsy shop sellers, which is so cool. Yeah.
That's so nice. I know how you feel about, videos and just putting yourself out there. One of the reasons I started a podcast when nobody was even listening to podcasts was because I just thought, well, nobody ever has to see me. That's the best part.
Right.
And then I still wouldn't even listen to the podcast, because I was like, I just don't like my voice. But people are learning. So I will continue to do this. And so when you said you do like demos with the hand videos, but when you show yourself, people are rooting for you, and they're happy, because I think they, after just knowing you, make that have that connection where they feel the same sense of accomplishment you do, just being brave enough to say, okay, here I am, even if just for 5 seconds. Okay, now back to my hands.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Nice. So TikTok, you say, is your number one marketing and sales platform. Do you do anything special outside of creating the videos to help drive traffic, or is just creating the videos and posting them sufficient?
Honestly, I don't do anything outside of, as far as advertising and marketing go, I don't do any paid advertising or anything like that besides TikTok. I do post on Instagram. When I post on TikTok, like I pretty much copy paste. It's very simple. But for anybody that's listening that is new and trying to grow their Etsy, my biggest success has come from my how-to videos. So when I'm showing somebody else how to make something, it's kind of been controversial because I've had people say, why are you showing people how to make what you're selling? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you're giving them the secret sauce, you know? And at the end of the day, we all learn from somebody. And while I learned a lot of things on my own, I take inspiration from real bakers. Like I will watch baking shows and Cupcake Wars, like those types of TV shows, and like I'll Pinterest cupcake designs, and that's how I get inspired. So I'm inspired by people that make real food.
Yeah.
To make my fake food, you know, to make cupcakes. And it's funny that that's how I'm inspired. And so at the end of the day, if someone sees my design and is like, that's so cool, I want to do something like that, like, cool. And then there's going to be other people that are like, oh, well, that looks really complicated. I have to buy all of that stuff. Yeah. I'm just going to buy it from the person that's the expert that's been making this for thousands, you know, made thousands of mug toppers. And I get a lot of that too. Yeah. So that's just my stance on it. You know, I don't share everything. Obviously, there are some things that I keep private to myself that are something that really, really took me a long time to learn, or where I get something. But I share so much because I'm hoping that other people can do what I do and are successful enough to stay at home with their kids and stay at home with their families. You know, like that's my goal, is make other people be able to enjoy time with their families and learn a thing or two. And some people don't watch my how-to videos and even do anything with it other than they enjoy watching it, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. There's something about, and this is just a theory I have, it's not proven, but I feel like there's something about being generous with your knowledge and your time and your information that ends up just rewarding you in other ways. Like
it's like karma in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. Exactly. Yeah, like, yes, really you could choose to not share how you did that. And especially since you figured it out on your own, like you went looking to learn how to make your mug toppers, but you had to figure it out on your own, and you could very well have kept that to yourself, but you didn't. And even on top of that, you're still able to make enough sales that have put your shop in the top 1%. And yes, could somebody try and do the same thing? Probably, but their designs would be different from yours. You have your audience, you have your customers, you are so way, ahead on your track that I think anybody who would come in thinking that they're going to be your main competitor and try and beat you out would have a steep hill to climb. Not that nobody would want to try.
Oh, I've had people.
I bet.
I mean, I have a lot of customers that have my back, and they'll message me and say, oh my goodness, I saw blah, blah, blah on Etsy or on TikTok making the same thing. They duplicated your design. And at the end of the day, it's really a sign of flattery. And that's the way you have to take it, because whenever you make something that's really cool and unique, someone's going to duplicate it. It's Absolutely. Just a matter of time. Yeah. So in the beginning, I'll be honest, I was pretty hard on myself and upset in a way. But over time, there's been so many duplications that I choose to think of it as flattery. I'm it's a compliment to me, thinking they want to do something that I did. They think that's cool. They like it, to me, it's like a pat on the back. Good job. Thank you.
Well
And that's
done,
really
Elizabeth.
the only way you can think about it. See, my therapist is doing a good job. No, but that's
Yeah.
that's the only healthy way of thinking about it. Because if you go down the rabbit hole, and it's not a healthy place to be. So
Yeah.
that's the way I choose to think about it. So
Right. And then also the amount of energy you would spend trying to hide
yeah,
is, is not worth just letting people do what they're going to do. And, if they find their own version of success, great. And if they don't, they'll drop out anyway. But to try and, whack every mole that comes up, you would in the end be hurting yourself, because then I think you would just be taking away from time you could be using to create more and, come up with new designs or, just grow your business even more and better.
yeah, I choose to put my energy into the positive things instead of the negative things, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
would you say that working in retail has helped in any way in the business that you're running now?
Absolutely. So I had a management position and ran my own store and would deal with customers coming in with anything from billing issues to anything and everything. I was in a technology company, so without giving too much details away, I had a lot of irate customers, and I was very, very skilled at de-escalating situations. So whenever I get feedback, I have no problem. I truthfully, I have a lot of 5-star reviews, and that's not being cocky or anything. That's just truth. But in the holiday time, I was struggling. There were several customers that weren't getting their packages on time. And then they would give me a 1-star review and say, my package came after Christmas. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do with this? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people dealt with that. And so obviously the only thing I can do is reach out to the customer and, simply explain the situation and what the USPS was going through with COVID and everything else, and hope that they were understanding. And I wouldn't ask them to change their review, but all I would say was, I saw your review and I wanted to reach out to you personally and ask if there's anything that I can do to make it better, and what I can do to move forward with my business so that it is better in the future.
Yeah.
And so I learn, and I haven't had a very bad review at all in a long, long time. And the only ones like I said, that I had were from shipping delays in December. So
yeah, I wish for those that Etsy would take them out or deprecate them somehow.
I did have 2 that I submitted that were due to shipping, and they did get thrown out.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yes.
So I did reach out to Etsy and said this was a third-party reason. This was not because of me. I shipped it within the processing time, etc. And they did throw out the 2 comments that were not changed.
Very good.
Yeah. So it was good.
Yeah. Okay, good. I didn't know that they were actively doing that. I know that other platforms, I know eBay will do that for anyone who sells on eBay. If the customer says in their feedback of you, mentioned that it had to do with shipping, right away you can contact eBay and say, hi, it wasn't me.
Yeah, I don't know if they do it all the time, but I know they did it in December because of all the COVID issues that USP was having. Yeah. So
and that only just made sense because last year was wild. It was something else.
It was a interesting first holiday season.
That's right. Okay, so were you prepared? You had been in retail before, so I guess you had an idea about what Q4 was like, but running your own handmade business, how prepared were you for Q4?
I'm not at all. I knew what to expect. A lot of people last minute shop. And the problem with last minute shopping is when I've got a queue of 2 to 3 weeks and I've got 500 orders in queue, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just not. So realistically, I was very much not prepared for my first time. I am much more prepared this year, knowing in advance, like, having an announcement, and I'm going to have a cutoff, like, here's your cutoff, and it's going to be a lot sooner than December 1st, because you've got to think about, if it takes me 3 weeks to get through the orders, to get to your orders, there's also a drying time. So I didn't add that in, but like my stuff takes 2 to 3 days to dry before I can even ship it. So
Wow.
I have to account all of those things into place in order to do that. And like a milkshake, for instance, I have a fake milkshake that takes me 6 days to make because I have to let the spackle inside dry before I can add on the top spackle. So it takes double the amount of time.
Whoa.
So there's a lot of things that go into the processing time that a lot of people just don't realize, and they think, oh, well, why should it take so long to get, a rolling pin or something? And it's because I go and order that I get the order. So yes, you might have ordered a rolling pin that doesn't take me as much time to make, but I've got all these people in front of you, and I always go and order because I feel like that's the most fair for the customers.
Yeah. So last year you did not have a cutoff?
No, I did not. I
oh my goodness, Elizabeth.
Well, I sold out. So like, as far as like, I was like, I can't make any more.
Okay.
I was like, I'm burnt out at this point, and it was like December 5th. And so my processing time was 2 to 3 weeks, but I was like, if I don't get these shipped by at least the 15th, there's not even a possibility that they're going to get there.
Yeah.
So I pushed every single order that was passed from December 5th. I didn't even have any listings in my shop after December 5th. I didn't shut down my shop, but I had 0 listings. So as far as like sales go, it's very interesting because December sales were very, very poor because all of my Christmas sales were actually in October and November. It's really interesting.
Wow. Yeah, and still at that you were able to get to almost 4,000.
I'm actually, since I sent you that,
I know
I sent that to you a month ago? I don't even know.
Yeah, because I mean, yes, you're almost at 5 now.
Yeah. It's been a little while since I sent that to you. I'm at 4,600 sales now.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's a little crazy.
So then what does a typical day look like for you? And then how do you manage your time? Because having a 2-year-old is, that's one whole job there. And then you're running this business as well. What do your days look like?
I'm a full-time mom, but I'm also a full-time Etsy shop owner. So when I wake up and when I go to bed, I'm always on my phone looking to make sure I've answered all of my emails. If I get a customer messaging me about a custom order or the status of their order or something, I am very much on it. I would say within an hour, if I'm asleep, then obviously when I wake up.
Yeah.
But when I wake up, I always check my orders from the night before and answer any queues that I have. And then I spend all of my mornings with my son. So we spend the day together. We do breakfast and playtime and just typical mom stuff, whether it be laundry or whatever needs to be done. I just do non-business related stuff in the mornings. And then when my son goes down for his nap about midday, that's when my work day starts typically, as far as like getting in the office and working. So my home is my office. I have a spare bedroom in our house that acts as my home office. And typically what I'm doing in his nap time is packaging orders. If my husband's home and not at the fire station that day, then he'll help me package orders. So we'll get it done twice as fast. But I usually package orders in the middle of the day. Those get picked up by the post office. If I set a pickup through Etsy, if not, I'll take them to the post office. But I try to set up a pickup pretty frequently because it's just really nice that my postman can pick them up, and I leave him little treats. I appreciate him so much. He's so great. But yeah, so I'll do that during the day. And then when he wakes up from his nap, it's more Liam time, and we hang out all day and do dinner and bath time and put him to bed and everything else. And then about 8 o'clock is when my actual work day, what I call my work day, starts. So when he goes to bed, and when most people are winding down for their day, that's when I start getting busy. So I start making all my orders typically in the evenings about 8 o'clock. And I work, I'm not going to tell you how late. I'm going to. It's fine. I work typically until like 3 or 4 in the morning.
What?
It just depends on the day, though. So if I have a lot of orders that need to get done, or if I'm, feel like I'm running behind or trying to get ahead, I'll try to get ahead so that I can go do something the next day and not have as many orders that day.
Oh, right.
Those are the days where it's 3 or 4 in the morning. And I only do that when my husband is going to be not at the fire station the next day so that I can sleep in a little bit and he can wake up and do the morning routine with our son, you know?
Makes
but
sense.
If my husband's on shift and I know like I don't have any help in the morning, then I'm going to go to bed by like 1 or 2. So, but yeah, I work a lot more than I think people realize. It's just not normal hours. I call it the third shift.
Yes.
So.
Oh, no, I get that. Yeah. Very often I am doing the third shift right there with you too. So I get it. Sometimes you just have to, because you want to make room and time for your life and when everybody else is awake and doing things. And for me, I feel like it's a sacrifice worth giving.
Absolutely. Yes.
For the end goal.
Well, when he was younger, it was a little easier because I could have a pack and play in the room with me while I was working.
Mm-hmm.
But he's 2 now. He can climb out of pack
and
play. Yes. And everything that I make looks real. It looks like a cupcake or I have ice cream, you know, like it looks real.
Oh,
and
the
so
torture for
I'm
him.
Constantly having to tell him not to eat things and like we just really try hard to keep him out of this room because I feel bad because there's no reason he wouldn't try to like eat it or look at it or pick it up. You know, it's kind of just a tempting nightmare for him. So
torturous.
I used to be able to work a lot more during the day, but the older he's gotten, the more that I try to just spend time with him and it affects him too. You know, I see it whenever I'm really busy or trying to do other things during the day and they're with him, like he likes it when I'm more one-on-one with him, attention-wise, definitely.
Yeah. What percentage of your sales roughly do you think are international versus domestic?
That's funny. So I don't do any international after December of last year. I have not shipped internationally.
By choice or just you haven't received any sales?
No, I had to. So here's the story. I'll tell you the shorter version of the story.
Okay.
I shipped internationally all of last year when I launched, and some things went really well, and then I had some things go very badly. I shipped an order November 21st of last year, and the customer did not receive it until February 22nd.
What? Was that USPS?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, and that wasn't the only one that did that. There was one going to London. That one was to Israel. There was so many COVID related postal shutdowns internationally that I didn't know about. Like we talked offline about, like, you know, traveling. It was like that with the post office. Like some places you couldn't even send mail to, and I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah. So I did a lot of research on my end. If someone messages me about like, where's my order? I'm going to USPS.com. I'm the one that's at the post office. I know some people have the mindset, and I've heard where, oh, once it's in USPS's hands, I wipe my hands of it kind of thing. Like it's not my problem. But in my eyes, until the customer gets it, it's my problem.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of person where I am definitely trying to figure out where it's at, what's going on, if I need to input in a claim for it or a search claim, whatever have you. With that particular package, we thought it was lost. It didn't have a scan since December 20th.
I hate when that happens.
End of January, I was like, look, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't think you're going to get it. I'm going to refund you. I fully refunded her for everything, including the shipping, which was pretty expensive, and sent it to her. And we kind of just said, haha, well, Merry late Christmas if you end up getting it. I got a message a month later at the end of February, and she's like, I just got the package. And I was like, are you joking? And she was like, it's perfectly intact. These are beautiful. How can I pay you now? And I was like, nope. I was like, not gonna happen. You keep it. No. I was like, it was a gift for me. I wouldn't let her, because I was like, it's not fair to the customer. It's not fair to either one of us, really, but it's definitely not fair to the customer on that end. Like, I don't know. So yeah, since that incident, I've just been very turned off to the idea of shipping internationally, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I won't do it again. And I've had people reach out to me where, they're like, hey, I really want this. My cousin lives in London or wherever have you. Can you ship it to her? And I'll make a custom order and ship those. And I just tell them, like, I can't control the shipping time, especially right now.
Yeah.
So if it's for an event or a holiday, I just wanted to let you know that. And they kind of have to like tell me like I'm okay with that for me to go forward with that situation.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my next question was what if someone just reaches out to you privately and says, can you please do this? Then you will.
I actually just had someone reach out to me yesterday. I was on a Facebook or a TikTok live. And she asked if I could ship something to Canada. And I was like, absolutely. Just know that it might take a little bit longer to get there, but I can definitely do that. Just send me a message on my Etsy. I created the listing for her and did a private shipping profile for Canada, and she purchased it, and end of the day,
So when you say you did a private shipping profile, does that mean you didn't use Etsy shipping?
No, I did use Etsy shipping, but my normal, so I have like a default shipping that's US only. So whenever I had to go into it, create the custom listing, and then I had to hit the plus sign under shipping and create a separate profile so that it could ship to Canada.
Okay. How were you able to calculate the cost? Did you go to USPS and put in the weight and all that?
It's automatically calculated. I have Etsy calculated based on the weight of the item.
Okay. Interesting. Oh, I like that. Okay. Back to stuff that you're doing. I am so intrigued. One of the things you do in addition to your regular TikTok lives is you host virtual mugs and toppers workshops where people can buy the kits from you and then make them along with you.
Yes, that's been my newest thing, and I'm really excited about it. So it all started with TikTok, of course, where everything seems to start with me. I had a customer reach out, and she said, hey, I work at Alma College. It's a college up in Michigan, which is pretty near me. I'm in Indiana. So she's like, I think this would be super fun to do this with some of the college students. And I was just like, I never thought of that. That would be cool. And I had already done kits. So I already had in my shop a kit where I gave everyone the supplies they would buy a kit and it would come with all the supplies to make it with written instructions. So that was already a thought and was already there. I did that in January, but I had never thought of having a one-on-one video class where I would teach alongside and they would make it while I was teaching. So I was like, well, that's a genius idea. It's that's so smart. Why wouldn't I do that? I love teaching and I love to do how-to videos. So yes, let's try this out. So she had a cutoff of 50 students because she didn't want it to be too big. So we did 50 students to start. I shipped them all of the kits. They had individual kits. I shipped them all to her. We jumped on a Zoom. I think that was the platform she preferred. So that's what we used. And I was videoing and teaching them how to make the mug topper as we went. And a lot of them had never even heard of a mug topper. And they were like, this is so cool. What? And it was also really interesting because I got to tell them a little bit about my story and my background. And, these are college students. So this is the time that they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hey, look, while you could go the corporate route, while you could become a professional dancer, you could do any of these things and all of them, but you could also be making this passive income on Etsy or, active income, whatever you want to make of it, as big or as small as you want to be. This is another option. I'm making more now than I did in my 6-figure sales job. And that's saying much. That's nuts to me. So, and I get to stay home with my son. What? Yeah. I'm so lucky. So I think that was really cool. I felt it was impactful and I had a lot of people reach out to me afterwards and ask me questions about it and things like that. So that spurred the public workshop. So now I'm trying to do it monthly or every other month. I have my July workshop is this Sunday and it's a sunflower mug topper. So people had to have signed up by beginning of July. I had a cutoff because I had to ship them all the supplies for it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they sign up for the workshop online and they get the kit mailed to them. And then there's instructions in there that say basically, don't touch this until the workshop. And then this past week, earlier in the week, I believe Tuesday, I sent out an email on Etsy and basically said, here's the link. And on Sunday, we're going to start at 4:30 p.m. You know, they already knew all of this, of course, but, you know, I gave them the link to the Zoom to join the call. And it was like, I encourage you guys to turn on your videos and have fun with me and like, let's craft, and I'll answer any questions you have along the way. But yeah, I'm so excited for my first like public one, if you will, because the first one was different. Like, they didn't really know what they were doing. They were college students and they were like, what am I signing up for? Sure, I'll do it. My friends are going. This one, it's like a lot of people that either already make mug toppers and want to learn something from me, like piping tips and tricks and things like that. And then there's some of them that are just doing it for fun, kind of like a wine and canvas night, but you know, this with their mom or with their daughter or something. So I'm really excited for it.
So how did you get the word out? Like, are these people who, where did they go to sign up? Where did you, did you announce it on TikTok and then direct them to a sign up page on a website, or?
Everything was done through TikTok and Etsy. So when they purchased the kit on Etsy, basically I have, if in the description of the item, it says, you know, the week of, I'll be sending you an email, be in the lookout, you know, in the meantime, you're going to get a kit shipped to you, etc. So basically everything was done through Etsy, and I drove them there from my TikTok and my Instagram. So I did post it on Instagram, and I have several people that follow me on there. My like avid customers. I have some customers that have been buying from me since Halloween last year, and they buy every single holiday. They buy Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day and Easter and 4th of July. Like they have one of everything. So they were like, I want to do this. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, it's really cool.
So that's in the make it yourself faux whipped cream listing that you have in your kits and virtual workshops section of your Etsy shop, right?
That's where it would be right now. It's inactive because I had to take it down.
Okay.
You can't sign up for it right now.
Okay, because
it's this Sunday.
Oh, okay, got it. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so whenever I launch my fall one, it will be in that section, the DIY kits and workshops. It will be in that section of my Etsy shop. I plan on having a class in probably September so that I have enough time to get together all the supplies, ship out all of the kits, and then make sure everyone gets them in time.
Okay. Wow. And, you know, this is kind of off topic, but shout out to the state of Michigan, the great state of Michigan, because I got invited by the public library system. I've forgotten which county. It's the next month to do Etsy workshops. And at first I was like, wait, what? Like who? Why? And
that is
like,
so cool.
Can you do a workshop for us? I'm like, for the library? Are you sure?
That's awesome.
So yes, I like progressive states that are, you know, and counties and, you know, schools that are thinking outside the box, because like you said, the corporate route isn't the only way to go when, you know, people want to consider what their career options are, and not just for college students, but also people who are in a career, people who are actively in the workforce and maybe want to do something different or are looking for a second career. So, you know, I was happy to say, well, yes, you know, this is another path, you know, if that's what people want to know about. So I'm glad that schools are exposing their students to professionals like you who can say, hey, you know, if you're crafty and you can do something with your hands, you can also make a good living that way too.
Yeah, I think that was just so smart of them to ask, and I hadn't even thought of that. You know, I thought of kits, but not a class. Like, that's smart. I should do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it can be used in a lot of different Etsy shop ways, like whether you do macrame or whatever have you.
Yes.
Like, I think a lot of Etsy shops could open a whole different world of opportunity teaching people their craft, because we do this. I mean, I've made thousands of mug toppers, literally. So
Yes.
I think that, teaching people what I love to do is one of my passions. My mom was a teacher. I've taught dance my whole life. Like, I love teaching people. So that passion is able to come out, and it's so rewarding seeing other people being like, oh my God, I can make this. What? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not a crafty person. Like, it's not that difficult, it just takes a lot of practice to make it look like this.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. I 100% agree with you that this could be another way for Etsy sellers to branch out is teaching and running workshops. I know, and I'm trying to think of a couple of other people I've had on the podcast. Anna McLaughlin, she does Anna Fine Jewelry. She does workshops where couples can actually come and make their rings, because she does jewelry. She does engagement rings and wedding rings. Couples can come and make their rings in her shop. And there's somebody who does something with knitting. And I know I feel bad because I messed up her name once before, and I don't want to. Sully's Softies. Karen, she has a whole community where they do the same thing, where she teaches people too how to make the mittens that she does. So things like that are, one, I think it's fulfilling, especially if you enjoy teaching, to give back and do that. But it can also be a what do you call it? An additional income stream,
exactly.
especially if it's something you like doing too.
Absolutely. That's so cool. I feel like it's just something that sometimes as a crafter, we don't really think about that being an income stream, but it really can be, and it can be quite successful if you are consistent with it. So my idea is eventually to have like a monthly mug topper club or something where like people can literally just like have one set for every single month and kind of themed towards that month or a holiday in that month. And like, I think that would be really fun. I have to get a handle on my orders before then, but
yes.
And the next definitely an idea.
Yeah. And I think the nice thing too is you have some control over that. So if you want to do it monthly or every other month, you can do that as well. And a good thing about, picking your own frequency, even if it's they're farther apart, is you have more time to promote it and fill up your classrooms and just get, more engagement.
Definitely.
What are some things that, looking back, and I know it hasn't even been up to a year, but obviously some things are working really well for you. I know TikTok is a huge one, but outside of TikTok, let's say someone is listening and they're still just not buying the TikTok thing. What other things would you say you've done or that you did that helped you find the type of success that you have found on Etsy?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is customer service based and getting your repeat customers to come back. A large portion of my customer base, like I said, are people that buy from me every single holiday. So obviously I use TikTok to drive new business, and my repeat customers see it too, obviously. But when it comes down to continuing to grow your sales, you want people to come back to your shop and order from you again. That's a goal of mine, right? So having really good customer service, I handwrite a note on every single order that I send out, an individualized note on every single order. I think it just shows like a little bit of personal touch, like I made this for you, but I also took the time to write you a note and, personalize it to you.
Do you use any special stationery, like branded stationery, or just regular?
I have branded stationery,
Okay.
and I do that for some orders. Not all orders will I use that for. I try to be pretty paper conscious as far as like not using so much paper, obviously, and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. So a lot of times I'll write it actually on my order form, like that I print out through Etsy.
Yeah.
I'll write it on there, and I put a cute little sticker and fold it so it looks
Mm-hmm.
really cute. But another thing that I think that is a big thing that people miss is the add-ons. And I've heard you and someone else, I don't remember who it was, talk about it before, but I feel like it's not driven home as much as the add-ons. So if someone comes to my shop for a mug topper, 9 times out of 10, they're not leaving with just a mug topper. They're going to buy the mug topper, and they're going to buy a mini mug, and they're going to buy
Mm.
a lemon cupcake, and they're going to buy a mini rolling pin that has a lemon theme on it. So creating like these collections
Yeah.
that all go together and seamlessly go together. You can buy the whole thing if you want. That's great. But you don't
Yeah.
have to. You can also individually buy them. And I think that's something that not everyone always thinks about.
Yeah.
And I know that comes from my retail side. I was in sales, so everything was like, okay, so the customer comes in for this.
Yeah.
How do you get them to buy more? You
Yeah.
know, like that was something that was ingrained in me, was add-ons. How do you add one on? How do you add two on? And well, while I'm not able to do that physically in a salesman format, I try to set up my shop so that if you're looking for a s'more mug topper, you're going to see all my other s'more stuff too, you know?
Yeah.
And just trying to like branch out. It really is what I'm saying, I guess, in a nutshell, is branching out and thinking of things that can go and complement your items that people come to your shop for,
Mm-hmm.
but that aren't so left field that it's like it doesn't belong in your shop.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And your shop just is so perfect for lending itself to add-ons.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are there any features that currently don't exist on Etsy that you would like to one day see on the platform?
I think that it would be nice if the ship date was a little more easily prominent, if that makes sense.
Ship date for you or for the buyer?
For the buyer.
Okay.
I feel like sometimes people buy things and they don't realize it, and it doesn't show them unless you. So like when you click on a listing, obviously you have to like scroll down and you see the shipping section, and you have to click on that sometimes for it to pop up and say, we'll ship between August 5th and August 19th or whatever, you know, or will arrive between this date and this date. I wish that was more prevalent. And I think some people would say that would turn a customer off, being like, oh, it's so far out. But to me, I would rather a customer see that and not message me as frequently and say like, I don't understand. I ordered this a day ago. Why hasn't this shipped? Well, unfortunately, the processing time is clearly stated there, and it's on my announcement page, and you know, so I guess I just wish it was a little more prominent to the buyer on the buyer's end, so that people knew the expectations, and you know, for the sellers, it's not as fun answering those questions. Where's my order? When, you know, you feel like you do everything to show people, and I put it in the descriptions, and, you know, having a little bit longer processing time, it's helpful for me to be able to take as many orders, but it's also a little more stressful getting those questions pretty frequently.
Oh yeah, I can see how that feature would be particularly useful for you, especially because of the type of operation you run. And just so you know, your how do I say it? Your prayers have been answered already.
Really?
Yes. So over the next we're already in July. So I think it's going to be implemented this month or next month. But Etsy is now going to start requiring sellers to put in there's some I've forgotten what they called it, but a date or a processing time or something like that. I can't remember what it is, that basically will allow them to calculate or at least estimate when buyers are going to receive their products. Right now, they say it's a field you don't have to fill in, but they're going to make it mandatory, I believe, starting at the end of July or in August. So if you have listings that already exist, when you go to renew them, you're going to get an error message until you put that information in and update it, because now it's required. And yes, it has to do with, I've forgotten the terms that they use, but it does have to do with shipping. And the whole point is they want to show buyers accurate dates, delivery dates. Like they want to be able to say, this is when you're going to get your package.
I love that. I mean, I already have that implemented, but maybe if everyone implements it and it's mandatory, maybe it's going to be more clear to the customers then.
Yeah, there's something they said about how they're going to do it that's going to make it more prominent and more like they're going to highlight it more. And so that's why they're now going to require, I think it's either a new field that they're going to add into the listing, onto the listing page, that will be required, or it's a field that's there now that's not required. I can't remember what exactly they said, but yes. So you can check that one off your list. That was easy.
Thank you.
I had nothing to do with it. I'm just telling you what
but
they
you
said.
Told me and everybody else listening, so thank you.
Elizabeth, now what advice would you have for that new seller who doesn't have the same story that you do, where they found early success, things just seemed to fall in line perfectly? Because we know that your story is kind of unusual in the Etsy ecosystem. What encouragement and / or advice would you have for that person whose trajectory doesn't quite look like yours?
Yeah. Like you said, I know that I'm a rare breed, if you will. I know that my story isn't normal, and I fully accept that, but I have had a lot of trials and errors along the way and learning curves and everything else, just like anybody has. But at the end of the day, I think the main advice I would give would be just to open a shop if you haven't already, and just try, because that was my hardest thing, was actually just doing it. Having the courage to say, I'm going to open an Etsy shop. Like I said, it took me from March till August. Okay. So clearly don't practice what I preach, but do what I'm saying instead. Yeah. I mean, just having the courage to open the Etsy shop. And I started with 2 listings, and now I have over 100 listings. I have like 111 right now. And I had more, and I took them down because it was 4th of July stuff and I didn't want them up right now. So, yeah, just having the courage to actually just do it. And whether you start with 1 listing or 2 listings, just starting somewhere. Yeah. That's what I would encourage people to do. And then also not feeling afraid to reach out to other Etsy sellers, because truthfully, I have had a lot of really good advice given to me by other Etsy sellers, like, hey, you should try this, or, I'm not trying to step on your toes, but maybe this would be better. And I'm like, thank you. Like, that's so helpful for me. And I don't think that people think that maybe Etsy sellers aren't as open, and some maybe not. I don't know. But anybody that's listening and wants any help, I'm more than willing to. Seriously, you can send me a message on Etsy. I've helped a lot of people. If you have questions, I will do my best. I'm not an expert by any means, but I will try if you need any guidance along the way. So just having an open mind about it is all, and knowing that there's a community out there. And I know that there's like Etsy teams. They just redid that. Yeah. I haven't been as active on there, but I know that there's a lot of like forums and things that you can get onto and ask questions like, like, hey, I don't understand this. Can someone help me? Yeah. And I think just like starting, just doing it is like half the battle.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And thank you for being so generous with your knowledge and offering to help people. Again, if you want to check out Elizabeth's store and send her a message, it's BowsAndSilosLLC. I will, of course, have a link to it in the show notes for this episode over at convo.com. Are there any tools that you find particularly helpful in running your business or your shop?
as far as like digital tools or physical tools.
Either.
um, so being a crafter, I don't really use any digital tools. I know a lot of
Okay.
people always talk about the digital tools that they use. I
Yeah.
prefer pen and paper because I'm old school and I like to check things off, you know?
Yeah.
So I made an Excel sheet that has all my stuff on it, and I've got a big expanding accordion style folder that I put all my orders in, and there's a whole nother thing of that. But one of the tools that I absolutely love is I have a cordless glue gun. I know that seems so silly, but they make so many different cordless glue guns, and not having the cord is just amazing. So in case you
Oh,
didn't know, there's cordless glue guns,
I did not
and
know.
they are great. There's a bunch of different brands of them, but I would definitely suggest a cordless glue gun to any avid crafter out there, no matter what you do. They're really, really great. And then let's see. Oh, this is something that I think a lot of people could use that I never thought of, was if you make something and it has like a dry or a cure time,
Uh-huh.
using a baker's rack, like a what they use in bakeries to do
Oh, yeah.
like cookies,
And
and they put their
cupcakes and
bread on
stuff.
it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like a dry, I think they call it like a speed rack or a drying rack.
Okay.
I have two of those now. I started with nothing and I was like, how do I make all of these dry? And I had one and that I bought secondhand. It was a restaurant that was going out of business and they had posted it on Facebook Marketplace. And then I
Mm.
ended up getting the second one because the first one was always full. Everything was always drying on it.
Yeah.
um, but it's really nice. And I've showed it on TikTok before. And now people that do resin and epoxy and
Oh,
things like
yeah.
that and tumblers and stuff, they still have a dry time. And then once they're done, it's like, where do I put them? So without like shelves and stuff, it's really neat because you can just take out a baking sheet and move the baking sheets up and down as you go. And I've got little
Yeah.
post-it notes on mine labeled and things like that. But it's something that I wouldn't think of normally, but I don't have a lot of space. It's a spare bedroom, right, in my house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it goes up the wall. I'm
Mm-hmm.
using that vertical space, if you will.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's another tool, I guess, if you want to call it a tool, space saving tool of
Oh,
mine that I really, really like.
absolutely. Oh,
So
absolutely. No, I do like the idea of physical tools too, because I mean, many people are makers, and so this helps as
yeah,
well.
definitely.
And I like the idea of going up. It reminds me of New York City because they
Oh yeah,
can't spread out anymore.
the
So they have
apartment's
to
so
go up.
small. Yep, yep. It's just like that, pretty much.
Yeah. Do you have any Etsy shop shout outs? Just another store or seller that you would like to recognize?
Yeah. So there's oh my goodness, I don't know how I could pick and choose, but
You can name more than
um,
one for sure.
yeah. So Great Embellishments is it's a mother-daughter duo. She actually has another Etsy shop and I can't remember the name of it. It's like Wreaths something, but Great Embellishments is one of the Etsy shops, and it's a mother-daughter duo. I believe it's Adrienne and Suzanne, or I'm gonna mess that up. Ugh. Sorry, I'm
It's
so
okay. I'll
sorry.
I'll look them up too and put the
Yeah, but
accurate information.
it's a
But okay, a
mother-daughter
mother-daughter
duo,
duo.
and they are so sweet and so kind.
Oh.
And one of them, one of them reached out to me and gave me some advice on Etsy, and
Oh.
has asked my opinion on different things. And she now makes mug toppers as well. So like, I guess you could say she's a competitor of mine in a way, but is like the most kind person. Like, I
Oh.
don't know. She's like, how do you do this? Like, you're so good at it. And yeah, she's just so sweet. But everything she makes, she's like, I'm not gonna copy anything you do because they can't be duplicated. Like, your stuff is
Yeah.
amazing. Like, I'm gonna do other things that are similar but they're different. And I'm like, go girl, yes. Like, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, obviously I'm willing to give them a shout out. Like, so
Yes. Yeah.
that's they've been really helpful just as far as like different questions I've had, because the mom has had an Etsy shop for years. So she's seen a lot of Etsy shops kind of fail here and there, and just
Mm.
wanted to make sure that I didn't do that. And this is just, I don't know, kind of taking me under her wing. She's very sweet. So
That's nice.
I would say them. And then, oh goodness, what's another Etsy? I think They're probably my main one, I guess.
Okay.
I would shout out. I feel like I'm going to miss somebody, but I feel like if I named another one, I would feel bad for not naming someone else
We're
or
not
something.
naming them
So I
all.
guess we'll just leave it at that one.
Okay. All right. For sure. I will link to Adrienne's shop. I do see it on here. It's great embellishments. And so
Yes.
I'll put a link to their store so folks can go check them out, see what they're doing. Let them know you heard about them through Elizabeth on the podcast. That would be great. And Elizabeth, other than your Etsy shop or including your Etsy shop, what is the best way folks can connect with you?
Definitely, like you said, through my Etsy shop, but also Instagram Messenger.
Okay.
So you can message me directly through Instagram. I do have Facebook too, but I'm not as active on there. So I thought of the mother's Etsy shop name, by the way. It's Wreaths by GE Designs. Sorry.
Wreaths as in door wreaths?
Yes, like a door
with
wreath.
a W.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, W. So Wreaths by GE Designs.
Okay. All right. Great.
That's the mom's shop.
Okay. All right. I will link to that as well. I just wrote that down. Okay. So your Etsy shop is the best way to reach you. Again, that's BowsAndSilosLLC. Folks can also connect with you on Instagram, and your Instagram handle is at Bows and Silos. That's Bows and Silos.
Yes.
What about TikTok? Is that a way you want people to connect with you too?
Absolutely. The only thing about TikTok is you can't message somebody directly unless you're friends with them. And
okay.
so I don't follow every single person. I have too many followers for that, obviously. But
yeah.
So if you're trying, like, you can comment on my TikToks, and I read every single comment, and I try to comment back. So you can definitely comment on there.
With thousands and thousands of views, you comment back?
Yeah, go look.
Oh no, I believe you. I'm just thinking that is wild. That's engagement right there.
Yeah, my last TikTok video I posted a couple days ago. It's about my football tiered tray that I did and talking about your podcast.
Oh.
And it's up to 95,000 views.
Oh my word.
So yeah, and I've commented on every single one except the last few hours that I've been, talking with you and everything. So
oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll put a link also to your TikTok just so folks can go and check you out. And if anyone else is on TikTok and they want to follow you, then at least they can do that, understanding that, it's not really a chatting place as opposed to really just engaging with people. I think that's one of the things I like about it is the chit chat is about engaging with what somebody is doing. That's, I guess, the only way you can talk to people is if they're engaging with what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a pretty neat platform.
Yeah. I think I've said this a number of times over the last few months is I do actually like TikTok. I feel like I wasn't supposed to like it, but I do.
I felt the same way in the beginning. I was kind of like, this isn't for me. I'd heard
Yeah.
it was for like younger people and
Yes.
dancers and all this. And I was like, I'm not a dancer anymore. Like, I can't do
Yes.
this. But
Yeah.
no, there's like a whole creator platform
There
basically
is.
on TikTok. And there's a bunch of artists on there and crafters and makers. It's very cool. Yes,
I was so happy to find a community there because honestly, I was kind of embarrassed even downloading the app. I was like, my phone is probably thinking, no, that's not what you want to do.
I love that.
Oh, Elizabeth, thank you so much. I have had a wonderful time talking with you. I know we've talked for so long, and thank you, Liam, for allowing us to talk this long. I know nap times can be touch and go, so I'm so grateful that we were able to have a conversation, and I can't believe it hasn't even been a year. Can we do a follow-up after you've had like a full year at least on Etsy and see just how it all went?
I would love that. Yes. Thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation as well. You're so fun to talk to and listen to. And I listened to so many of your episodes, probably every single one. I was road tripping and just put them on blast in the background.
Aww.
So, I'm so happy that I found your podcast and that you selected me to be on it. I feel blessed and lucky. So thank you.
You are most welcome. And of course, as always, I thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for making it worth making the podcast. Sometimes I think, oh, why am I doing this? And then just knowing that somebody's benefiting from it, somebody's gaining from it. So if you're listening to this podcast episode, I thank you also for taking the time out to listen to the episode. If you want to connect with me, you can go to convo.me.com. There's a contact form there. You can send me a message. On Instagram, I'm at Etsy Conversations, and I'm still kind of shy to say who I am on TikTok, so I'll just leave it at that. But I'm on there, and if you can find me, I will be so tripped. All right. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the podcast, and I will be back next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convo.me.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.